The story starts with an old lady named Barb. Barb looks at a picture and cherishes the memories of her younger years with her late husband. Barb decides to carry out his final wish, which was to have his ashes scattered on the northern Minnesota lake where they first met. As she drives there in the middle of a snowstorm, she accidentally detours to a nearby cabin and asks the guy for directions after scaring the crap out of him. When Barb noticed blood on the snow, she asked whether everything was all right. The man claims it came from a deer. Barb enters her late husband's memory lane when she gets to the lake. Recollections of them spending time together when they were younger. A woman's scream interrupted her memories. The man Barb asked for directions is the one she sees. Barb witnesses him chasing and apprehending a young lady who has her hands bound. She tries calling for help, but her phone had no signal. Barb was forced to go back to the cabin to look into it. When she gets there, she discovers that the lady is restrained in the cottage's basement and hears a purple-clad woman and a guy discussing plans to murder the girl. Barb acknowledges the victim she was going to get help. Later, the lady in purple discovers someone has been around the area. She sees a mitten that belongs to Barb. When the couples figure it out, they set out, then pursue her trails. Barb, unable to get her truck off the frozen lake because of the snow, uses her husband's old hunting equipment as a diversion and lures the couple in, causing the guy to fall into a hole she made in the ice. Barb hurries back to the cabin to free the victim. However, she failed. She floods most of the cabin to pressure the couple to depart. However, they return before Barb can leave, and she is shot in the arm as she flees. Barb had to return to her truck to get medical supplies, but the pair had sabotaged it. Then, perhaps in order to find any medical supplies, she goes to her husband's equipment. She was able to retrieve a pistol that was left by the man who fell into the ice. Back in the cabin, the couple were recovering from frostbite before they left the cabin again. Barb came back to the cabin and successfully treated her gunshot injuries. However, the victim wasn't there. When Barb attempts to use a radio from a truck to call for help, she was intercepted by the man and thrown out the truck like a rag doll. With the man suffering from hypothermia, Barb is able to defeat him. The man surrenders and confesses as she pointed the pistol at him. Upon confessing, Barb discovers that his wife is dying and that the girl was selected as a result of a previous suicide attempt. But she convinces the man to drive to the town closest to him and call the police before going to the hospital himself. Barb nearly blew herself up moments later after setting off the truck to attract aid. She successfully attracts hunters to the area. After a brief standoff with the hunters, they take her back to the cottage to try to help the girl. Barb tries to warn the hunters the lady is a psychopath and urge them to call the police. Before the hunters could approach the cabin, the lady shoots them both. Also, it's now shown she later killed her husband. Barb escapes for cover, then manages to shoot the lady by the foot. Barb attempts to flee for cover after running out of ammunition, but the lady shoots an object, knocking Barb out cold. Moments later, Barb gains conscious. She discovers that the girl's name is Leah while trapped in the basement with her. Barb tries to console her as Leah fears for her life. She tries to escape but is cut short when the lady arrives and sends her down the basement. The next morning, the lady compels them both to go with her to the lake at gunpoint. When they arrive at a ramshackle medical tent in the middle of the lake, Barb discovers that the woman plans to take Leah's liver. Then travel to another town to locate a surgeon who can transplant it into the woman. Barb attempts to persuade the woman not to kill Leah, but the purple lady threatens her with the rifle. She is obliged to tie Leah up, but she purposefully keeps the bindings loose. When Barb completes the instruction, the purple lady shoots her and she collapses to the ground. The lady begins gathering surgical tools in preparation for the surgery. She cut open Leah's gown and marked the spot on her body where liver was placed. Suddenly, Barb gets up and interrupts her. Both ladies get into struggle as Leah tries to free herself, knowing the tent was catching on fire. Both ladies fell out the tent as they struggle for the rifle. Finally, the lady defeated Barb, but she had run out of bullets. It was eventually discovered that Barb's husband's ashes saved her life. Out of bullets and irritated, she pulls Barb to the ice hole. Just as she was about to push Barb into the ice, they were both distracted as Leah ran out of the flaming tent. Just as the lady attempts to force her into the ice hole, Barb uses the shackles that were previously used to keep her bound to tie herself to the woman and throws them both into the hole. The lady screams for her life, and Barb honors her husband's wishes by pouring his ashes into the sea as they both drown. Leah escapes from her confinement and discovers an old image of Barb and her husband. Thanks for watching. If you like quick recaps like these, please don't forget to like or subscribe to help the channel grow.